Welcome to Marlene's Atelier. In this lesson, I'm so excited because I'm going to show you how to hand set our tailored sleeves. You're not going to want to miss this lesson. That's what's happening today in the Atelier. Welcome back, and we are getting ready to set our sleeves into the swing coat. What we need to do before that, though, is we need to secure the lining, the inside lining here in the jacket around the arm side, okay? And what we don't want to do is we don't want to attach the lining to the actual jacket, but what we're doing is securing it to the actual canvas, if you will, okay? Now, why is this important? Well, we have many, many steps to walk through in getting this sleeve put together, all right? But at the end of the day, what we're going to achieve is bringing all of the layers of the jacket together around the armhole, okay? So if you think about it, we have lining, we have canvas, all right? We've got the shoulder pad, yes. We've got the actual sleeve itself, which is going to be attached to the jacket, all right? And then we've got what's going on in the back as well. We've got lining in the back. We've got the shoulder pad. We've got the actual cloth. And so by the time this sleeve is all put in, okay, this entire armhole or arm side is going to be backstitched through all of the layers, okay? So what we need to do now is secure the lining to the front of the jacket where there's canvas. So obviously I can't attach it to the cloth because if I do, I won't be able to put the sleeve on, right? So what I'm going to do here, okay, is it's a little tough to see, but let me pull this back. Here in the jacket is where I have all of my canvas, okay? And of course, our shoulder pad is attached to that. You can see here's my pocket I put in, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to come in and baste the lining all around the front of the canvas. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of ease, okay? Just going to give it a little bit of ease as I go. So this is going to keep the lining in place as I go through each step of putting our sleeve on, okay? So now remember, we do have a bit of ease in here from when we put the lining in, if you remember. If we go back many, many steps, there's a lot of ease all around this armhole from the very beginning. We were very deliberate about putting ease around certain areas of our arm side. Specifically, now see, I'm just adding a tiny bit of ease in between here. Specifically, where we had put our canvas dart in, if you remember. I know it goes back a long time, many, many videos ago. So this is important. We want to make sure that we have a little bit of ease in here so things aren't pulled tight. We put ease in here to start with. We want to make sure that we distribute that ease properly, okay? So it's not pulling or twisting, turning. And as you can see, I'm just kind of using a little bit of a pad stitch as I go. These little loose threads are going to drive me out of my mind. Get out of there. If there's a loose thread, it gets caught in whatever I'm doing. Okay? So I'm not pulling anything. I'm kind of letting the lining just lay where it is and basting it down real nice. Okay? That's all. Very simple. Very easy. I'm coming in off of my arm side maybe a centimeter or two just to hold it in place nice. Okay? Like so. Here. And again, I'm just letting the lining fall around the shape of my shoulder pad, okay? I'm not forcing it. I'm not pulling it. I'm just letting it lay there where it wants, okay? That's it. And coming up here very nicely, okay? And just basting it down. And then when I get up here to the top, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tack that like so. And then I'm just going to bring it across. Because remember, we're going to have to attach the back shoulder line here at some point, right? So we'll have to attach that. Okay? So that's all there is to it. Nothing hard about that at all. Nothing hard about that. Get everything nice and secure. Okay? Perfect. All right. So now what we're going to do, okay, is I'm going to show you how to baste, and I'll do the other side. I mean, this was simple enough. There's no science project to that, right? It's pretty simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we're going to baste our sleeve into the jacket, okay? Now, let me review one more thing with you before we go on, okay? We have turn this way. We have the front pitch here at A, remember? And we have the back pitch at B, all right? So when we put our sleeve in, all right, we are going to be bringing the front pitch and matching it on the sleeve to the front pitch on the arm side, okay? And where 3 comes together here, 3 and 17 come together here at the back, that's where we're going to stop at the back pitch, all right? So that's where we have to match the sleeve as we go. Now, the other thing that I've done is I have given myself a 1 centimeter seam all the way around my sleeve, okay? Because I want my line around my arm side here to be absolutely perfect, straight, just gorgeous, no zha-zhas, no bumps, nothing, okay? And so I don't mess around with that. I don't try to guess a centimeter. It makes a big mess. So I always draw a nice guideline in for myself because look, at the end of the day, setting a sleeve by hand is hard enough. We don't need to give ourselves any other challenges, okay? We just don't. All right. So what I'm going to do here, and I'm not sure if you can see this, but right here is my front pitch on my sleeve, okay? So I'm going to get a pin and I'm going to match the front pitch, and I'm also going to get this lining out of the way. All right, remember we didn't, when we were putting our lining in, we didn't come all the way up to the top. This is exactly why, okay? So here, what I'm going to do, and I hope you can see this, I've got the raw edge of my sleeve, I've got my front pitch, okay? Where we chain stitched, okay, is not exactly at the start here, my raw edge. My raw edge is a little further in where these mark stitches are. I know. So here's my chain stitch, but here's my actual mark stitch for my arm side, okay? So I have to come in, and this, wherever there's a raw edge, that's where I have to match, okay? So what I have to do here is I have to match the front pitch of my sleeve, okay, to the front pitch. In fact, what we'll do, just get a little chalk here. It's sometimes a little easier just to draw a nice line So when you're putting it on, you can see it much clearer. Okay, so there's my front pitch there, and I'll just draw my front pitch in here so you can see it, I can see it, the whole world can see it. Okay, there's that, and there's the front pitch there. So what we want to do is come in and match the front pitch and the raw edge to our mark stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to take a pin and do that and make sure all is well. Okay, just like that. Now, when we go to baste our sleeve in, okay, we have to make sure that we're only basting it to the cloth and nothing else. Okay, very, very important. You don't want to baste your sleeve all the way through to the canvas, all right? So right here at my front pitch, I'm just going to come in and tack this off a couple of times to hold it real nice, okay? Let me see if I can move this. There's going to be a lot going on with getting this sleeve in. So I am going to do my very, very best to make sure you can see this as clearly as possible, all right? All right. We tack that a couple of times so we don't risk it falling out, okay? And I want to take my first couple of stitches. I don't need to have any ease, just first one or two, okay? Now I'm making sure as I tack this, all right, as I baste, that I've got my raw edge here coming up against my mark stitch. Now eventually I can match it right to the chain stitch, okay? But because we came down that ½ centimeter here, remember, to do the chain stitch, it kind of came up and blended into, all right, the other stitches. Okay, so here, so I'll take another stitch without any ease, okay? And then what I want to do is, as I'm working around this arm side now, okay, I'm going to just be bringing a tiny bit of ease into each stitch. When I say a tiny, I mean approximately like a millimeter or so. Now around this entire sleeve, I have about 3 centimeters of ease, which is not a lot actually. It's only about 1.5 inches, okay? I would have loved to have a little bit more than that, but 1.5 is fine. Anywhere from 1.5 to 2 centimeters is great. So, I mean, excuse me, 1.5 to 2 inches, okay, is fine. So, like I said, I'd like a little bit more, but I've got what I've got. All right, so in between, and each of my stitches now is very small, okay? My stitches are only about 1 centimeter. And they're only about 1 centimeter, and my sleeve is uncooperative already. And I've got about 1/2 centimeter in between. So I want to keep these stitches pretty small. And like I said, I'm just adding a small amount of ease in between each stitch. It's very small, okay? In fact, as you turn the sleeve around the armhole here, okay, it will automatically give you some ease. It might be more than what you need, okay? Just trying to bring this forward so you can see a little bit better. So you can see as I turn the sleeve, it's going to give me some ease, but I have to figure out how much of that ease I need, okay? So here, I'm finally now starting to come into the actual chain stitch, all right? And so here, just a small amount, and now I can match my raw edge up against that chain stitch very nicely. So if you see, what I'm doing here is I'm kind of like bending my finger up, and just that little bit of ease that I'm creating from wrapping the cloth around my finger is all I need, okay? It's all I need. Now, eventually, what we're doing here, good God, okay. What we're doing here is working on the outside of the jacket, okay? And eventually what's going to end up happening is I'm not going to be able to do that because I'm going to start pulling the bottom of the sleeve down here, okay? So I'm going to have to eventually turn this inside out and work it on the inside of the jacket, which will be a lot more fun for you to see what I'm doing. All right? Oh, and for the love of God, I'm going to get a knot every time. Okay. So the other thing that you have to keep in mind, okay, is that God, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, the other thing that we have to remember is we don't want our stitches to be tight, okay? We just want that little bit of ease, but don't pull your stitches or your thread tight, okay? In this particular instance, we're not doing a running baste. I mean, God love you. If you can set a sleeve doing a running baste, then you're Superwoman or Superman. But we don't really have to worry about any tightness like we have before we came in and we got all the tightness out. Here, we don't want to do that anyway. We're not making it tight, but we need that ease, okay? We need that ease. So we're not going to be shuffling it around and trying to get tightness out. The other thing you want to be really careful of is this sleeve is very much on the bias, okay? Very much on the bias. And so you want to be very careful that you're not stretching your actual sleeve out, okay? Don't stretch your sleeve out. You'll be creating more ease in the sleeve than what you want, okay? So I am just about up to my shoulder line, okay, here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself one more stitch here. And then we'll turn this over and see how things look. Okay, I'm just going to secure my needle there. All right. So if we turn this over and we take a look now, okay, we can examine, we can get this pin out of here too. The last thing you want is to leave a pin right in the arm side. Right here. It hurts. All right. So we can see that our front pitch is matched, okay? We can see that small amount of ease in between each stitch here, which looks lovely. And we have a nice clean line. That's what we're looking for, is that real nice clean line. If you have any stitches that are out of play and you don't get that clean look, take it out and do it again, all right? Because if you're going to go through all of this effort to put a sleeve in like this, you want it to be perfect, okay? You absolutely want it to be perfect. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this inside out, okay? And what a chore this is going to be with all this coat, huh? Let's see how we can get this so that you can see what I'm doing here, all right? Yeah. Let's see how I can get all of this out of the way because there's a lot happening here. First of all, let's do this. Let's clean this up a little bit. We don't need that. Get that out of there. This is going to be a problem eventually. So let's clean up some of these little zha-zhas and little pieces of our lining that is just going to be a problem, okay? All right. So what I'm doing here now is I'm bringing and turning the armhole, okay? so I can see inside my arm side, all right? So here's my shoulder right here, and here is my chain stitch, okay? So where I am right now, so you get kind of an idea, is I'm like right here on the jacket, right at the shoulder line, and I'm getting ready to come down here from the back shoulder line to my B, or my back pitch, okay? Now, the one thing that's really important when you're at this point is you have this inlay that we left from the shoulder line. And what we do not want is we do not want to catch that inlay into the sleeve, okay? At all. So we want to leave this hang loose at all times, all right? Now, my back pitch is right, let's see if I can find it here, my mark stitches, is right here. Here's my back pitch, okay? So I don't know if you can see that, but it's right here, okay? So what I want to do is, here is where 17 and 3 come together, all right? That seam. What we want to do is we want to match that to our back pitch. So I always like to put these two together right away because it's very jiggly. This is very jiggly. It doesn't like to cooperate. All right, and that's going to show me how much ease I have to distribute between where I've left off and my back pitch, which you can see again, I've only got, like I said, 2.5 centimeters around the entire, or excuse me, 3 centimeters around the entire sleeve. So there's not a whole lot here. There's just enough, okay? Just enough. If I had an extensive amount, all right, of ease, I would take the sleeve out and I would add more ease in the front again, okay? So you have to kind of use your judgment. Now, listen, before I go on, I'm going to tell you that setting a sleeve by hand for the first time can be really tough, all right? So don't get yourself discouraged. I can't tell you how many times it took me to get my first sleeve set by hand, by taking it out, doing it again, trying to get the ease right. So what I like to do is take it in very small bites, okay? I like to work from the front pitch, okay? From the front pitch to the shoulder line. Stop there and then match up my back pitch with the sleeve and see what I have to work with, okay? See what I have to work with. If it looks like I have too much or I don't have enough, at least you're not committed in the whole sleeve, right? So you've only taken a few minutes to work on that front, and it's easy. And then from there, what I do is I work around from the back pitch to the front here, okay? Which is has its own challenges, but we'll get there. All right, so I'm doing a lot of yapping. But this is, this sleeve, the sleeves, are without a doubt the most challenging part of any jacket, no less a British bespoke jacket, okay, that has like 9,000 steps to get the sleeve in and is very, very structured, okay? So here I've moved my inlay out of the way at the shoulder line, and I'm going to continue matching my raw edge to my chain stitch, adding just a very small amount of ease, keeping my stitches relatively small and close together, okay? Small and close together. And so what it's, the thing that's a little challenging is trying to get the jacket opened up, all right, and get things matched up nicely here without, and keeping your stitches straight and adding just the right amount of ease. It's a little crazy, but it's possible. You can do it, okay? You can do it. This will be perfect. This amount of ease right back here is going to be perfect. So here, just to help me, and so you can see what I'm doing, here's you can see me just wrapping this around my finger and then taking a pretty small stitch here like that, okay? Like so. And then just working my way around the back arm side here to my back pitch, okay? Just like that. Remember, I'm matching my raw edge up against the chain stitch and adding just a small amount of ease. So not only is it important, oops, that stitch was a little too big. Not only is it important to keep your stitches straight, but it's important to keep your raw edge matching up against the chain stitches. Keep that straight, okay? Very much so. That all plays into getting that beautiful clean line around the arm side, okay? Very much so. Okay, so here, like so. All right, so we're just about to the back pitch, which is a lovely place to be. Okay. Now, if that wasn't challenging enough, okay, we have another challenge as we come down the back of the sleeve. Okay, and that challenge is that we have inlay resting on inlay, okay? So what we did, do we? Yes. So we have the inlay of the sleeve, okay? Because on the back of the sleeve, if you remember, we left 3 centimeters, okay? So on the back, on the undersleeve here, we left 3 centimeters of inlay, okay? And of course, around the armhole, all right, around the armhole, we left inlay around the armhole too, 1.5 centimeters. So we don't have a raw edge, okay, to work with. The raw edge is going to be our mark stitches. So we have to match our mark stitches as we come around the back of the sleeve, okay? So let's get to this point first, where we're finally at the back pitch, okay? Get that done, and then I'll show you what I mean. Okay, here. All right, now, what I like to do, if I've gotten to this point successfully, what I like to do is I like to tack this off at the back pitch, okay? Just because if I'm happy with how everything looks, then I'm like, excellent. So let's tack it, all right? And let's go ahead and let's take a look. I'm gonna pull my pin out here. Let's take a look at how everything looks so far, all right? So if we turn the jacket right side out, okay? What am I got here? All right. And we take a look at how our sleeve is looking. I just need to push this forward here, okay? So far, our sleeve is looking pretty good, okay? We have a nice clean line all the way around. We have a nice amount of ease all the way around. It looks very good. I'm happy with that, okay? Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so I think we feel pretty good about working from the back pitch now, okay, around to the front of the sleeve. Okay, so far, so good. Thank God, right? Thank God. Okay. Very nice. Yeah, that's good. All right, so now the next phase here, get all this lining out of the way. So as I mentioned, get that lining out of the way. See, I told you there's a lot going on in here, okay? There's a lot going on. All right, so as I mentioned, we have the inlay here on our sleeve, okay? And which is our 3 centimeters. And we have our chain stitch on the arm side, okay? So what I have to do is I have to match that, the mark stitches to the chain stitch, okay? And now remember, I've got ease in the back of the sleeve as well. So what I usually do is this. I come down here to the bottom of my sleeve, which is where I am, if I can get everybody to behave themselves here. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so here is the bottom of my sleeve right here, okay? Or excuse me, the bottom of my armhole right here, all right? And so that has to lay flat. So from, say, A to about this area right about here, okay? All of this is flat. There's no ease in the underarm, if you will, okay? So what I like to do is I like to come in and line everything up nicely, okay? And I like to put a pin where that ease ends, okay? So here's where that ease is going to end, right? And it's only a few, it's only a few centimeters. It's not very long, okay? So now, if I look inside, I can see, let's make sure that's right. Yeah, that needs to come up a little bit there. That's fine. So if I look inside here now, God help me, here is the ease that I have to put into, and it looks like a lot, but it's not, because the sleeve is not lined up properly here, yeah? It wants to jump out, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're going to divide that ease in half, okay? So I've just put my fingers in here, and I've pulled, and I'm gonna divide that in half, and I'm gonna match my mark stitch up to the chain stitch, okay? Like so. And I'm just going to put a pin in it. Just going to put a pin here, like that, okay? All right, so far so good. I know. Okay, there's my needle. Okay, my friends. So here, just as I've done, I'm going to come in and I'm going to continue adding just a small amount of ease, making sure that my mark stitches now, my mark stitch on my sleeve is matching the chain stitch on my jacket, okay? So just a small amount of ease in between each stitch. And I might even need to realign that a little bit. We'll see. Okay. It really helps when you put a pin in to kind of guide those mark stitches over. It's really easy for those mark stitches to get out of a line with the chain stitch. So even if you have to put a couple of pins in, you can do that. Why not? Put as many pins in as you want to help you get through this. It's no easy chore, I'll tell you. Okay, so here, and we're just going to keep basting that in, coming down the back, adding a little bit of ease in between each stitch. Get our pin out of the way. Okay, here, like so. I really, really hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying so hard. There's just so much going on. Okay, so here again, I'm coming, matching that mark stitch up to the chain stitch. And where I am right now is I'm just about, right about here. I'm almost down to where I can lay this out nice and flat, okay? It's just about there. That little bit of ease in between each stitch, okay? Really important. All right, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so we're just about there. Yes, yes. One second, I got this. There we go. Sleeve was just twisting around a little bit. Here we go. Pull that up. It's just giving me a little bit of a hard time. Okay. Yeah. All right. There we go. Listen, I can't make it look too easy, okay? It's not at all. It's not at all. All right, so now here I am at the very bottom, and I have no ease, so I can just continue here. Oh yeah. Around to the front, okay? And get that pin out of there too, because that would be a painful exercise. Here, here, and here. So here at the very bottom of the sleeve, I'm matching raw edge to raw edge again, not the raw edge to the chain stitch, okay? The chain stitch should actually be undetectable underneath. You shouldn't be able to see it. And now I'm coming up to the front pitch, okay? So these last couple of stitches, I'm just coming up to the front pitch, and I can tack this, okay? Tack it just like that. All right, so let's have a look at our sleeve and make sure that everything looks beautiful, that we're happy, that the ease is distributed nicely. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. So that the front looks beautiful. Under the arm looks beautiful there. Very happy with that. Let's look at the back. Oh, back looks very nice. Yes. You see, we've got a nice clean line going all the way around here. So that looks beautiful. All right. Now, here's the challenge. We have to get the other sleeve in exactly the same way. All right. And here's the even bigger challenge. We started the left sleeve from the front of the jacket, right? We laid it out like this and we put the sleeve in this way. On the right side, okay, we actually have to start putting the sleeve in from the back pitch, okay, and come around to the front, which makes it just a little more difficult. So I'm going to take a short break and get myself kind of pulled together here. And when we come back, we'll tackle getting the left side, or excuse me, the right sleeve in, and we'll cross our fingers and hope it goes as well. Okay. All right, so let's get busy on the right side of the sleeve. And here what we're going to do is we're starting from the back pitch, okay, and working to the front pitch first. So, that adds a little bit of a challenge because at the end of the day, we are not working on the outside of the jacket for as long as we did when we were working on the front, okay? So here I'm just matching the back of my sleeve to the back pitch, making sure all of that is lined up nicely, and off we go, okay? Off we go right away. So right away, we're going to start adding ease, just a small amount. So I'm tacking that off, okay? And, it's always good. I should have gotten this lining out of the way to start with because we have enough challenging us. We don't need that in the way as well. So we're just going to stick that inside the sleeve, okay? All right, here we go. All right, so I'm going to turn this towards you and I'm going to work this way. I think that'll be easier for you to see what I'm doing here, okay? So again, I'm keeping my stitches pretty small and close together and just adding a small amount of ease in between each stitch, okay? The other thing, again, as we work right off the back, starting in the back, we're matching the raw edge of the sleeve to the chain stitch. That's our guideline, okay? So just a small amount of ease in between each stitch here as I go. So the one question that a lot of people always have when they, learn how to set a sleeve like this is they always ask me, Marlene, how do you know how much ease to put in each stitch? And that's a really great question. And the answer is experience. Honestly, I wish that I could give you some magic formula for how much ease to put in a sleeve. But, I think as you get versed in almost like how much, if you look at the diameter of my sleeve, of my armhole, and you think to yourself, well, I've only got 3 centimeters of ease, which, like I said, is not a lot. I would have preferred to have 4 or even 5, but I have what I have at this point, and those are the cards I'm dealt with right now. So I know that the amount of ease I'm putting in between each stitch is much smaller, okay? Because that's only like 1.5 inches. And like I said, 1.5 inches is fine, but I like to have a little more. I like to have 2 inches in my sleeve. So anyway, all right. So here I've worked my way up and now I've gone as far as I can. And you can see I've got a nice amount of ease there, but I have to turn this inside out now, okay? Because I just can't work any further. I'm starting to pull. Great. And I just wonderfully pulled out my stitch here. So let me put my pin back in. Yeah, I just untacked my... Oh, Marlene, that's all right. Let's just get it back in line here. And we'll let our little pin hold it in for us. Okay, so now we have to turn this inside out. So what I like to do is I like to just put my needle here so it's held, okay? We're going to come in and we're going to turn the jacket inside out so that, and we're going to bring the sleeve up to where we can see it here, okay? So right now, this is the front of my jacket right here, okay? That's the front. Very good. Now, right away, what I'm going to do is I'm going to match my front pitch on the sleeve to my front pitch on the jacket, and I'm going to pin that, okay? I'm going to pin that right there. Perfect. So now I know how much ease I have to work with between the back pitch and the front pitch, or where I left off, all right? Now you can see there's a lot going on here. We've got the front, the canvas from the front of the jacket. Here's our shoulder line, and you can see here's our inlay, which we have to keep out of the way. So now if you're just starting to do this, and this is your first time, what I'm going to say to you is don't let all of this intimidate you, okay? What you're going to do is you're just going to take one little stitch at a time, okay? And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to open this up so you can see where I am, which is just about at the shoulder, okay? I'm going to get that inlay out of my way so it doesn't get caught in what I'm doing. All right? And I'm just going to pick up right where I left off, okay? Where I'm going to, here, get everything situated, all right? So here, I'm going to match my raw edge to the chain stitch, and I'm just going to take, get my inlay out of the way, very important, and I'm going to take a stitch, right? So I'm just putting that small amount of ease in by rolling the cloth over my finger. This is a really great way that I found to work from the back to the front, okay? Because if you try to, get everything situated and laying flat all at once, it doesn't work, okay? It just doesn't work. You can't get everything in that whole front area laying flat. So you just have to take one little stitch at a time, okay? That's all. As my husband likes to say, don't try to boil the ocean. And he's right when it comes to this, okay? So here, we're now through the shoulder, right here. We're coming up over the shoulder line. Take another stitch. Like so. Line everything up. Okay, take another stitch. Keep your stitches small and close together. Okay. I don't know if you can see my blue guideline, but it's there, thankfully, helping me. So now you can see, I don't have time to be messing around with what a centimeter looks like. I'm trying to concentrate on just getting this damn sleeve in, right? Right? Who has time for that? But as I was saying, the learning how to get the ease distributed properly is just honestly, it's a matter of practice. It really is. And the more you do it, the better you'll get. And if you always, walk your sleeve ahead of time, okay, walk your sleeve around the jacket ahead of time, you'll know exactly how much ease you have. And then you can say, okay, I've got 2 inches, which means you're definitely going to be putting a lot more, I shouldn't say a lot more, but a little bit more ease in between each stitch than I am right now, okay? You might be pushing this up and putting about 1.5 millimeters instead of mine is probably 1 millimeter, okay? All right, so here I am coming around to my front pitch. And look at that, just like that, we're almost there, right? It's just that easy. But you know, like I said, if you just take one little stitch at a time, okay, before you know it, you've made your way halfway around the arm side here. Yeah? And as we get, well, we're not quite there, just about. A couple more stitches here where we're going to add ease, and then we're going to actually have everything lay flat, couple stitches flat as we get to the front pitch. Okay? As we get to the front pitch. Lovely. Let's see where I am here. I think one more stitch will do, and then we'll be good to go. One more stitch will do. Okay. And the rest of this we can lay nice and flat. Oh, one more. I'll do one more. Here we go. Okay. Let's get that lining silt out of here. Okay, so now we have that. Let's come to the front pitch here. Make sure I didn't pull those too tight. And we'll tack it and secure it nice, okay? And then we can move on to working around under the arm and to the back. So let's have a look. Let me just tack this nicely. And let's see how things are looking here. Hopefully, one more tack. I don't trust myself. Okay. Let's get that pin out. And let's have a look. Make sure all is well before we move on. Yes? Okay. All right. Oh my goodness. So yes, let's pull that seam forward. So yeah, that looks lovely. That looks very nice. So there's just a small, we have a very tiny amount of ease in between each stitch there, all the way around the arm side. Our front pitch is matching nicely. We have a small amount of ease coming around the back, which looks beautiful. So I think we're in good shape here. All right, I'm going to turn this back inside out. And just like I did before, okay, let me find where I am. Okay, let's get that out of the way. All right. Where are you? Come here. All right. So here, oh my God, come here. All right. There's the sleeve. Okay. Here, we want this to lay flat. Okay. So we said like right, so where I am right now is here. So I want this to lay flat to about here. All right, so just that small area here, all right, that I want to have lay flat. So what I'm going to do, like I did before, so I'll come in here and get everything arranged nicely, which is not really cooperating with me. Here we go. Okay? And I'll just put a pin to hold that nicely. Okay? Hold that nicely here. Okay. And again, I'm matching my raw edge up. Okay, so I get over here. All right, so that looks fantastic. All right, so there's that. We'll match that there. So here at the underarm, I can just come through and very quickly base this down. Okay, you can see here where I am. You know what? I just noticed I made, okay. I have a little bit of an error here. I just need to take out a couple little stitches because I did not match my raw edge at my, oh dear, come here. I did not match my raw edge at my pitch. I matched it to, oops, okay. Okay, fine. I matched it to the, excuse me, I'm so sorry, I'm trying to concentrate. I matched my sleeve to the chain stitch instead of to the raw edge. So I just need to make that slight correction here. And let me just do that, because otherwise that is a no bueno situation, yeah? We have to match the raw edge. It's just a small amount, but it makes a big difference, okay? So I'm just gonna correct that. In fact, my thread has a little knot in it, and that's just gonna make me crazy. So let's fix that. Get a new piece of thread here. Oh my goodness. Fun times with the sleeve. Yeah? Fun times. Okay. So there, that's good. Let's take that out. Take that out. A couple stitches here, just so I get it to match properly. Yeah, otherwise the sleeve is sitting lower than it should, and we don't want that. That would be very bad, okay? So here I'm just gonna come in and lift that up and match the edge properly. Minor issue. Okay. So what's next, okay? What's next after we get this sleeve basted in successfully? Well, I think this is gonna be enough for today, honestly. But what we'll have to do in the next steps is press out any, I'll show you, we'll come in and we'll press out any ease. That's important. Whenever we put in ease, we always press it out, right? So we'll do that. And then what we need to do is we need to backstitch all around the arm side. And so we'll backstitch. I'll show you how to do that. Now the other thing is, if you had a lot more ease than I did, okay, what you could do, all right, is you could do a double baste, all right, where you stagger your basting stitches like we did when we did the collar, okay? Same exact idea. You could do that, and then that would help when you go to actually press out the ease, all right? I don't necessarily need to do that, because I don't have enough ease right now to, the ease I have is easy enough to work out, okay, with the iron. But if I had a lot more, I would do that, okay? All right, so now I've come up to where my pin is, and now what I have to look at is the amount of ease that I have between my pin, okay, which is right here, and my back pitch. And just like we did before, okay, we're going to distribute that. Get the sleeve in here. And we have to match mark stitch to mark stitch, okay? So I'll match, I'll come halfway, find my mark stitches. Okay, like so. The other thing you want to be really careful of is the back of the sleeve. The whole sleeve is on the bias, for God's sakes. Let's just be real. Okay, it's very stretchy. So when you're coming in to do this, be very careful that you're not, stretching the sleeve out a lot, okay? Because that's, you don't want to do that. You'll add more ease to the sleeve if you stretch it like that, okay? So just be really careful. All right, here, I think I need a little bit more this way. Yeah, there we go. All right, so here we're just going to add that little bit of ease as we come up the back of the sleeve. Find my first mark stitch here. There we go. All right. So we're just going to make a little small amount of ease in between each stitch, making sure our mark stitches are lining up here, here, one in between one mark stitch at a time. Here. Oh, it's being a little difficult. Where's that mark stitch? They're so hard to see. There it is. That mark stitch right there. We'll put him there. There we go. Got some ease right there. Lovely. Okay. A little bit of ease. Check to see mark stitches matching. Mark stitches matching. Very good. Okay. So again, it's just take one little stitch at a time, put a little bit of ease in between, wrap it around your finger. Make sure your mark stitches are matching. Here, right, we've reached our pin. Get that out of the way. Okay, and then we just have this little bit of ease right here between this little area here and our back pitch. So just a small amount in between each stitch will do it. And hopefully we will have successfully set both our right and our left sleeves brilliantly together. Yes? Can you believe it? I think I'd mentioned this in a prior video, but I don't think that I could ever, as challenging as this can be sometimes, and every sleeve is different, obviously, but I don't think I could ever go back. Once I learned how to set a sleeve by hand, I don't think I can ever go back to setting a sleeve on a machine. It just doesn't look as good. It just doesn't, I don't know. You just don't get the line, you know what I mean? And we've only gotten into our sleeves by a couple of steps here. So I think we have 13 different steps to get these damn sleeves in. All right, so here we've reached the back pitch. We've got all our ease brought in very beautifully. Okay, just going to give this a couple of nice tacks here so it stays. All right. Beautiful. So let's have a look, make sure we're happy. Okay, also just so you know, I went ahead off camera and I basted in my lining on the right side, yeah? And just so that you know, since I didn't show you, thought it was kind of redundant, but I just came and I worked from the bottom and I came up to the top, okay? With it this way. Always keep the raw edge in your non-working hand, all right? I worked from the bottom to the top on the other side, but that was this way, yeah? All right, so, okay. All right, let's have a look at these sleeves, make sure we're happy. Okay. make sure that we're happy. I think, let me see. Oh my goodness gracious. I would say I was pretty happy with that. There, back. So whip the back around. Yes, that looks wonderful. We've got a nice clean line all the way around. Looks very good. Yes. Now, here's the other thing, real quick note. Because we have two different shoulder lines, okay? It's almost impossible to match your sleeves in terms of where your shoulder line is falling, okay? Mine happen to match in terms of where they fall from the shoulder line, not the pattern, okay? The pattern is not going to match. But if I look at this, because both of the sleeves are exactly the same, right? So if I look at this pattern on the sleeve, which is really where my crown is, right here, all right? If I measure from where this ends to my shoulder line here, I should be awfully damn close, if not spot on, with the other shoulder. And that's what's important. So if I measure that, that's about 2.5 centimeters. And if I do the same thing on this side, it is 2.5 centimeters. So what does that mean? And why is that important? Okay. And I was just comparing it to the shoulder line. The reason that's important, okay, is because we want to talk about pitch, all right? So when we talk about pitch in a sleeve, it's where the sleeve is falling, like so, yeah? So if I have my pitch, the way my arms fall, okay, and my pitch actually needs to come forward a little bit, all right? So I have to move, all right, on my pattern. I have to move A, okay, up, and B down, okay, because my pitch falls forward, all right? Now, if that's the case, and I don't distribute the ease in my sleeve between the front and the back pitch properly, okay, what ends up happening is you can throw off your pitch, all right? So technically, if my crown area wasn't distributed evenly, right here, where I matched, I saw this pattern and I measured between the pattern and the shoulder line. Okay, so let's just call that my crown. So if I match the top of my crown to the shoulder line, and this was, let's just measure it from the crown, okay, and that was 4 centimeters, okay, then I should be measuring from the crown on this sleeve over 4 centimeters, which I do, all right? So that means both of my sleeve pitches are in the right place first, okay? They should be because I matched my front pitch and my back pitch, but I didn't throw my pitch off, okay, by not distributing the ease properly. Because if this ease was sitting back here, my pitch is going to be off, all right? So just something to think about when it comes to the importance of having both sleeves put on exactly the same way, all right? The pitch has to be just right. The way the ease is distributed has to be just right. It's very, very important. So I hope that little dialogue here at the end helped you to understand a little bit better some of the necessities of sleeve setting. But not only that, how you also have so much more control over getting the ease in and distributing it properly when you do it by hand. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll be back in our next lesson. We'll continue with these nice sleeves. Thank you for joining me in the atelier today. If you've enjoyed this lesson, please do like, share, and subscribe. I do appreciate it. and leave any thoughts or questions in the comment section below. I love hearing from you, and I answer every single one. In my next lesson, I'm going to show you how to backstitch our sleeves into the jacket. You won't want to miss that lesson. That's what's happening next time in the atelier.